Remedy, can you hear us? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay, good. Welcome to the April 18th, 2024 Foundation of Pelican Marsh Board meeting. Let's begin the meeting by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome and good afternoon. All, would you please take roll, certify the quorum, provide proof of service?
Okay, we've got Matt Barber. We've got George Custis. We've got Joe Mulcahy, Nathaniel Monks, Brian McAdon, Jim Carter, and online through Zoom we have Uwe Roper. So we have a full quorum for meeting, and those are posted in accordance with board statute.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Before we jump into the agenda, this board meeting is the first meeting where we've all had new board members and officers. So I'd like to extend my congratulations again to our new board members, George Custis, our new vice president, Brian McAdon, our new secretary, Uwe Roper, and Jim Carter, our newly elected and appointed board members. We've only been working together for the last couple of weeks. But I can tell you that we've all been working together collaboratively. There's been a lot of communication, both email, texts, meetings, etc. And I'm very pleased on how all of us are working well together. Just, for the last couple of weeks. On Tuesday, the board and 20 directors, managers, and staff that support the community had a welcome and meet and greet lunch together. I want to thank you, Paul, for putting this together. I think it was well received by all the board members as well as all the staff. It was really great getting to know everybody a lot better, and I think it'll really help all of us work together this year. We're all very fortunate to have a team supporting us here at Pelican Marsh, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone on the board and our staff this coming year. We've got a fairly large agenda, so we should move forward with approving the minutes of the February 15 Foundation Board meeting. Have all the board members had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Move for approval.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. On March 28th, we concluded the year with an annual end of the year meeting with a wrap up of the year and to announce the election of the results for the new board members. And on April 2nd, we also had a special board meeting to nominate the final open board seat, which we filled with Jim Carter. If all the board members had an opportunity to review the minutes of the special board meeting, let's have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's go ahead and move to the president's report. As I said, this is the first board meeting that I've had as president with our newly elected and nominated board members. We jumped off to a great start. We had our end of the year party, which was very well attended by nearly 300 residents. Huge thanks to Paul, Madry again, and Glenn for another wonderful end of the year party. We also had a Court Sports. Court Sports had their end of the year party, which was also very well attended. I want to thank Johan and Allie Parker for putting it together another great end of the year party. In addition to our new board members, we also have a list of new liaisons for all of our committees. Uwe Roper will be taking the Tennis Advisory Committee liaison role. George Custis, the Pickleball Advisory Committee liaison. Brian McAdon will be the Bocce Ball Advisory Committee liaison. Our treasurer, Nathaniel Monks, is the Finance Committee liaison. I volunteered to be the Fitness Advisory Committee liaison, and Matt Barger is the Design Review Committee liaison. As many of you know, John Fascidomo leads this committee along with the Design Review Committee, along with Paul Madry. Paul recently sent out a request to the community for volunteers for the DRC, and we've received a handful of experienced people to serve on this committee. We'll be looking at these candidates and will select and approve these committee member positions at the next board meeting. Over the last couple of weeks, Brian McAdon and Paul Madry led a series of meetings with each of the board members to evaluate the options for expansion of pickleball courts. The foundation board will continue to evaluate these ideas that were submitted by the community. It's still the hope that an option can be selected and put forward to the community for approval that results in the court expansion before next season. More to come on that at the next board meeting. Will probably cover this in his manager's report, but June 10th through the 13th, we'll be replacing and lining the asphalt parking lot here at the community center. And as I said, I'll let Paul speak to the communication as this project kicks into gear in the summer. Finally, yesterday, myself and other board members, Paul Madry, as well as about 25 Pelican Marsh residents attended the monthly CDD meeting. I'm very pleased to announce that following the resignation of Ed Walsh, the chairman of the CDD, Bob Gianetti was voted in as the new CDD chairman for the remainder of this year. And I've personally been to several of these CDD meetings, and I can tell you that the level of communication at the board meeting yesterday and the collaboration with Pelican Marsh community was a breath of fresh air. Bob has a big job ahead of him as a new CDD chairman, finishing the gatehouse project that we've all been dealing with for quite some time. And instead of reporting on this update myself, I chatted with Bob last night and invited him to give us an update himself. So Bob, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone and share with us an update. And as you come up to this. And I've also asked Mr. David Adams to come to this meeting. David was working with the CDD on implementing some redesign changes for the gatehouses. Bob, welcome, congratulations, and looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with everybody here too, and to change the mindset of it's not.
People online.
It's that we work together on everything. I mean, I've been working on many different things in Pelican Marsh, whether it be the restaurant and other amenities that we have here. And I feel honored to be up here as the chairperson for the CDD. And I want to thank Walsh for all that he put in nearly 8 years of work and accomplished a lot. And I want to thank him for that. To give you an update on where we are right now with the gatehouses, we're projecting this to be done in June. I can't tell you the exact day, just can't, because we're still making another little revision there. It's minor, but they are moving it along now finally. And then as soon as that closes, our plan is to go right to Route 41, the main gate. And I live in a community with 208 doors, and I guarantee you they're right next to there. And so I will hear it very loud and clear to move that along. So I will get that going. And the process right before yesterday, well, about a month ago, I should say, I got a hold of, or I was put together with Dave Adams after he did his presentation at CDD, and I was interested in finding out more of what he was putting together. And the two of us sat down for probably 3.5 hours or better, and went through the plans on how it ties into other communities and how things are progressing in Pelican Marsh, meaning Ravenna and Seville, and as that grows, and how this all ties in. And Dave put together an outstanding presentation. I told him that I'd get him involved with the architect and Neil, and we did that. And then we're gonna meet with the architect, but at this time, I would like to have Dave come up if it's possible and talk about the design. He's got a, that's important.
Do we have a?
Dave, why don't you get on the, and I'll put your design.
And other, yeah, I'll let you sit here. Let me get the board.
Where's your board at? I got it. I got it.
In the back.
Okay. I'll stand there for it.
Hey, Bob, no.
Like they have white, there you go.
Well, people can do. They'll be available for after the meeting, don't get close to. There you go, go ahead.
You're doing a poor job, Paul.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's a flipping out burger later. Okay, good.
That's good.
What the poster illustrates is the plan for the gatehouse on proposed for airport pulling, which is based on the design that was constructed down at Vanderbilt, except it didn't have the canopy that comes off from it, and it's a little shorter. So it's a white building that I call a Florida contemporary style. But after viewing it and for several months, I was thinking, what can be done to this structure? The structure's fine. I mean, everything about it, I think, is going to work really well. It might be a little bit tall, but I understand they're shortening it a little bit. So I thought, what can be done simply and inexpensively to turn it more into a Mediterranean style structure? And after studying it for a bit, you know, other than just the color, I found it very simple, 3 very simple steps that can be done to turn it into the illustration, if you can see it on the right, where it's a much more what I call Mediterranean contemporary. And those 3 simple basic design elements are getting rid of the peak on top of the cupola, changing the cupola to a more Mediterranean style with the 3 openings on each side that you see, which is typical of Mediterranean architecture. Also, there's been some stone, like faux columns added to the face of the building. And those stone columns are applied in small panels, and you can use real stone. It's really quite attractive. The third element, which is already, I believe, been under consideration, is no clapboards. If you go to the Mediterranean area of Italy and Greece and so forth, it's beautiful country, but one thing you won't see is clapboards. So those are removed from the illustration that you see. On the bottom is, if that same design were modified slightly and were retrofitted to the Vanderbilt project, it would look like what you see on the bottom with a canopy coming off, and potentially Route 41 would be similar to that now, but with a canopy on either side. So that's the plan that I had put together. I talked to people, as Bob mentioned, at CDD, and we're going to further discuss in more detail what can happen to the future projects, meaning 41, what can happen to airport to pull that into a design more like the Mediterranean style. And also, these elements are very easily what I call retrofitted to the Vanderbilt. So, and I'm talking not a lot of money to do this, because they're simple, non-structural. That's very important. The structure that the architects have done is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the trim work and the color and those kind of added elements to make it look more like a Mediterranean structure.
So we're sitting at about $1.6 million right now with that number. What do you think this number is gonna be with your changes? Because I like them. I'm being very dead honest. I like them because they're so much better than what we have today.
Well, I've never been asked this
200?
before, and I haven't done any,
200?
200,000?
Yeah,
No,
no?
Less.
Okay,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just stone.
Let me, if you want to get into a little bit more detail. So the peak on the cupola on the top,
mm-hmm,
let's say that pitch is. Well, it's made out of probably 2x8, it's lumber, it's not.
it's garbage, yeah,
So the angle of the cut at the top of the pitch is going to change from probably 40 degrees to 85 degrees. That's the
Okay.
difference. And so it's going to be much flatter, very low pitch, need a little bit of a pitch for water runoff. So you really won't see much of a peak on top of the cupola. And that's only to bring down the scale. It's not to say that Mediterranean cupolas don't have a peak on them, they do. But I'm trying to bring the scale of or the proportion of the cupola down to fit the building a little better, that's all. As far as the openings go, on that cupola, that's just trim work, that's lumber.
oh, yeah,
So,
Yeah.
and they don't have to actually pass through like a real cupola that you'd see in Italy. Water and so forth would penetrate and it's protected from the inside. This, you don't even have to have it open. We set a material in there to make it look open, but it wouldn't be open.
okay,
And as far as the stonework goes,
it's stacked stone,
it's not, it comes in sections.
yeah,
There's two ways you can apply it. You can apply it with masonry screws, one on top of the other. No other mason materials, no cement or anything involved.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty good. I mean, and it's,
I completely agree with
Now,
you. I was just asking what you thought
Okay,
might be
I
the
got-
number.
all right. So I did talk to a mason about doing this and a true mason says, well, I'm gonna put screws into it. I'm gonna use an adhesive material, a mortar material, if I did put them on. And nobody's been hired. This is just a friend of mine that talked to me about masonry. And he said, including materials, just to do the stonework on just the face of the building for those two columns would be $3,500 per column. And that includes block that builds up to build it out. And it includes the precast section at the bottom and a little cap at the top.
Okay.
So you
That's
take
not that
that,
bad.
you take paint. And you take a carpenter, maybe 2 days at most to change the woodwork on the top. Or in the case of the airport, it hasn't been done yet, as far as the overhead trim work goes on the front of the canopy.
Okay,
So gee, wait, I mean, we're looking at a few $1,000s, under 100 certainly. That's my guess. I'm not. Don't quote me on it.
okay, thank you. And I have to agree that I really like the new design so much better than where we're sitting at today. Hopefully collectively, the entire audience agrees.
I just wanted to add one thing that I've been asked. I'm not an architect, let's make that clear, but I've dealt with architecture most of my life since I was a teenager. I worked for an architect, I worked for a builder. And I've loved architecture my whole life. I had an opportunity to become an architect when I was younger, to go on to school to become an architect. And I chose not to because architects spend about 10 or 15% of the time designing and all the rest is working on a drawing board. And that's not what I want. I'm a designer. During my nearly 60 years of professional design work, I've designed gas stations for Amoco Oil Company and retrofitted the old ones to become new. I've designed stores for CVS. I've designed stores for convenience stores up in the New England area. I've done package design for Ford Motor Company for Kodak film packaging that you've seen, I did. And on and on. So corporate identity trademarks that I've done for banks and for other companies around the country, you've seen the work. So I just wanted to say that that's my area. And did I say package design? A lot of packages you see in the supermarket and so forth I've done. But to be clear, I am not an architect and don't want to be an architect, but admire what they do.
Well, thanks for all the time you've put in. I know it's been, you know, you're not getting paid for any of this. It's just
No.
sort of stepped up and done it. So we really appreciate it.
Well, you're quite welcome. It's really a pleasure, and I have to say that the time that I've spent on it has really been enjoyable for me. It's not work. Love it, and I met some wonderful people, Bob and people at the CDD and people here at Pelican Marsh because of this, and I'm just very thankful that I've been able to be of help.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bob and Dave. Moving on to item, number 7 on the agenda, the foundation managers report.
Thanks, Joe. So we can see that activity around the community centers really started to slow down, with some members already heading back north for their northern homes. For those still getting ready to leave, don't forget to complete any required cleaning or maintenance that is needed on your home. It's also a good idea to have a home watch service or a friend lined up to monitor your home while you're away to prevent any unforeseen issues that may arise. We recently sent out an email this week warning residents of a mail theft issue happening in the Collier County area. And unfortunately, some of that mail theft has happened here in Pelican Marsh. Some of the residents in condo associations and single family homes have had reports of mail stolen from their mailboxes.
It's not true. The theft is at the distribution center.
Well, I'm gonna say that, but anyway, so, so anyway, the sheriff's department, we've arranged to come out on May 2nd at 3 o'clock to give an overall general crime prevention presentation and community policing presentation. So you may want to sign up for this presentation next on May 2nd, and here's some important information to help for future cases. As usual, this summer we'll be doing a lot of scheduled maintenance and other projects needed around the community center. As Joe mentioned, one of the big projects will be repaving our parking lot. This repaving of the parking lot is going to re-level the parking lot and hopefully eliminate a lot of puddling we now see after rain. And as he said, this work is scheduled for the week of June 10th, and we'll be sending out a reminder notices of this work and instructions of where to park during the repaving project. We're also planning to hopefully install new roofs on the community center and pro shop buildings this summer. So watch your emails, and we'll keep everyone posted on this schedule. Most likely probably around the end of June, July timeframe when that will be done. If you've not done so already, please make sure you're registered on the Pelican Marsh website and download the Pelican Marsh app on your phone. This will be the best way for you to keep informed and updated what's happening around in Pelican Marsh, as well as easy to make reservations or sign up for events that are happening. Lastly, the staff and I appreciate everyone's support as usual. And thank you again for making this another great season to remember. And we're looking forward to another great season coming up next year. That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Nathaniel, you want to go over the treasurer's report?
All right. Thank you, Joe. I'll go over the treasurer's report for January, February, and March. First quarter, and Paul will bring it up on our screen up here so you guys can see it too, and the people at home can see it on their screen. It's pretty simple and fast. It was there for a second. All right, we're going to page 1. For the first quarter, our total operating surplus through March was $6,875, which is $13,694 better than budget. Mostly due because the activity centers had extra income this first quarter. Our operating expenses year to date were $2,900 better than budget. Our operating expenses were $3,700 over budget, partially because we are having so much more activities that we have a lot more credit card charges than we normally do, and we pay a little fee for that. The capital, that's the operation account. The capital account gets its money from home resale fees. Home resale fees for the first time in years is actually a little bit below what we predicted. We're 2 houses below for the first quarter, but nobody going into panic mode. It's already, looks like it's been fixed. By next month, it will already be back up and looking normal. People are still buying homes, and there's several in the works right now. As always, everything I have here is on the Pelican Marsh website. You can also check with Paul or myself and get your questions answered. Page 2, please. On page 2, we have our 3 main accounts, our operating fund, which is where your HOA fee goes into. And that at the beginning of the year was $482,000. And down at the bottom, you'll see that right now it's a little over 3 million. And that's because we receive all your HOA fees and then dish them out as the year goes along. And like over half of that is Comcast. So we're waiting on some Comcast bills as we go through the year. That'll all go down. The second column is your replacement fund, the reserve account. Started the year off at 291,000. Right now it's almost 410,000. And we have not yet spent much money out of that account. It gets its money from the home resale fees also. So your home resale fees go into that reserve account. And then that third one, you see the capital account. Capital account is the account where we spend money to make the amenities better, improvements. And it started the year off with 438,000, and it has not changed much. Next page. This is the activity centers, income and expenses. You'll see in the farthest left column, what we have is the year-to-date actual. Then the second column is what we had budgeted. And then, so that you have something to compare it to, the third column tells you where we were at this time in 23. So that means after the first 3 months. So in your first box, you got fitness revenues. This is wild. Back in 2023, all the way to the right, you see it says $94,000. And that's what it was first quarter of 2023, not that long ago. And this year, it's over double that. So the fitness revenues, which is mostly people getting lessons in the gym, massages and facials and things like that, they're just going gangbusters, more than double a year ago. Makes no sense, but apparently you guys got disposable income. That's very nice. The next column down is court sports. This is out at the Bocce and Tennis Pro Center. This one, you can't really compare a lot to the 2023 actual because we restructured some of our wages and in the last year or two, we've gradually taken over for the first time the shop, the selling of shirts and things like that, and it's phasing in. We're doing things differently than we used to, so the 2023 is not a really good comparison. The revenues are up quite a bit. Expenses are up because all these shirts we sell, we have to buy them, and it's actually going up rapidly. You'll see that next month. You'll be able to see the incline even more, I believe. The next thing down is the merchandise, which I've already kind of cheated and mentioned already. Look at the merchandise. It's over double what it was before. In fact, I bought this yesterday. So it's up next month also. Down here we have social. That's Miss Lynn puts together all these events and parties. We try to get really close to breaking even on that, but you'll see that that's also up a big percentage from 25 to 38,000. So everybody's participating in more activities, but it's supposed to break even. And down at the bottom, you can see that compared with last year at 149,000, we're at 289 for all those things put together. Down at the very bottom, you have the food and beverage block, which basically says nothing has happened this year. Most of those things will be, most of the budget for the food and beverage is spent at the very end of the year. And so far, I think it's been $424 so far this year. Next page. Okay, the next page is about houses getting resold, which is where two of those accounts get all their money. The reserve account, the capital account gets all its money from resale fees. You don't have to contribute. And you can see that each time we sell a house, we get $7,500. And we're a little bit under budget for that because we have 2 less houses in the first 3 months that sold less than what we thought. But as I mentioned before, it really looks good. That's going to be, that problem's going to go away right away. All right, that's the whole treasurer's report. It looks good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Now we'll move on to, get several topics to work through the board, 9.1 through 9.6. I'm gonna go through 9.1, 2, 3, 4, jump to 6, and then we'll finish with 9.5. So 9.1, the pickleball committee is recommending that the board approve appointments of Frank Canastra and Pat Improviduto to the open seats on the committee. We have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 9.2, the fitness committee is recommending the board approve appointment of Brad Toner to the open seat on the committee. We have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
9.3, at the last TAC meeting, they approved the following proposed rule to be sent to the board for approval and implementation. I'm going to go ahead and read this. When an individual or group books a court, it is mandatory to enter the names of all players into court reserve by the start of the game. Group leaders who reserve 5 or more courts per week are exempt from having to enter the names of each player into court reserve. However, they must submit the information, including date, name of each player and court they played on, to the pro shop staff by the end of that day of play. We've gone through this, everybody's read this. Do we have a motion to approve?
So motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now let's, we'll go to 9.4. The following is a proposed amendment to the design review guidelines to allow metal roofs for condo associations. We covered this at the last board meeting. We left it to take another look at it and revise it. So I'll go ahead and read this. The color and style of the roof tile should be compatible with that currently exists on the residential units within neighborhood in which the applicant resides. A sample of the roof tile being used must be presented with the application to the neighborhood association. Condominium associations may allow for raised seam metal roofs on multifamily units pending review and approval of the style and color by the foundation's design review committee. Colors for a metal roof must be from the medium to dark brown or gray color palettes. A sample of the roofing material being used must be presented with the application to the DRC.
Question. I have a question, Joe.
Yeah.
Why medium to dark brown or gray, whereas some of the buildings have different colors today? They're more in what I would call a Mediterranean color. Is there some reason for that?
I don't know, somebody else have an answer to that question?
I might. We use that language just simply because we wanted medium to dark. We didn't want stark white. So when the presentation is going to be made and it comes through the DRC, we'll take a review. And that's about it. Because we don't need to have stark white roofs. We don't need to have orange roofs. So simply put, Jim, we just want to have a neutral color, period.
So reddish brown would be objection, you would object to that or you pass that?
I think we would take a review.
My concern is not this current design review, but in the future, somebody may take that just as written. Somebody wants to replace a roof that is reddish brown, it's been there for years, nobody complains, it's great. And if that color exists, they'll say, well, sorry, you can't do that now because you can only use these colors.
Well, let's understand something, period, that this is about multifamily units.
Right.
So we're
Well, I'm
talking
thinking-
about multifamily units within our community. So they're gonna have to make a serious presentation like Osprey just went through yesterday. That was phenomenal. I don't know if you were there or not,
No,
but it was phenomenal. And they took the time to show different dynamics of different materials on their roofs. So I think if we do that with the DRC, we're gonna be okay.
Can I help a little bit also? Jim was worried that someone might have a roof color, a metal roof color that they were not able to replace because of this, guidelines here. That can't happen because these guidelines are going into place before the metal roofs are ever allowed to be installed. So
Correct.
no one can install a color that later will not be allowed because only colors that are allowed in this guideline will be allowed. So they'll never have that situation of replacing a color that was not allowed.
Thank you, Nick.
well, the board's comfortable with it and everybody's okay.
Let's
My
move
only
forward.
concern is that we're gonna raise a question in the future where somebody will not have the flexibility to interpret what you're saying or this board. Okay,
Could you reread what the James said?
Yes. The color and style of the roof tile should be compatible with what currently exists in the residential units within neighborhood in which the applicant resides. A sample of the roof tile being used must be presented with the application to the neighborhood association. Condominium associations may allow for raised seam metal roofs on multifamily units pending review and approval of the style and color by the foundation's design review committee. Colors for the metal roof must be from the medium to dark brown or gray color palettes. A sample of the roofing material being used must be presented with the application to the DRC.
Doesn't Claremont have a metal roof though?
It's a simulated tile.
That's a question. Based on the language, it is a metal roof. It is red. So I just want to understand what that means.
This is for, it's raised seam flat on a roof, not a type of roof that they have.
Right. The roofs that look like rounded tile, they're not covered under this color requirement. Only the color requirement is only for steel roofs with raised seams. Doesn't cover any other type of roof. Regular houses, they can have whatever color roof they can get approved. This doesn't apply to that.
Within their.
And rounded metal roofs also can be whatever color that meets the requirements. Not these limited colors.
I guess if the prior sentence indicates that style and color have to be approved by the design review committee, is it somewhat contrary to have the sentence we're questioning in terms of the colors? Like, do you need that, knowing that we're gonna review the colors anyway?
Well, if I'm gonna be on the design review committee, and you guys can't see this or this, but we went through the homework of color schemes. And there are a couple colors that just don't match up to what this community should or ever should have, period. And what I'm saying, period, is that if we don't review it and then present it to the board, then why do we have a design review committee?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, so you're gonna review it anyway, so you don't have to be so specific here.
Yeah, and it, you know what, it's kind of generic language right now. Just because medium to dark. What's the spectrum?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of, even what Egrets has as a current tile roof color. wouldn't fall from that palette.
But you
Yeah.
can't deny something that's not written. By writing in the colors gives us the authority to deny it. But if it's not written in there, we cannot deny it. And so, that's what we're into. We went to the lawyer on that several times with the gatehouse issues. And so we have to make it as defined as we're going to enforce it.
Joe?
Yes,
But following what you said, Nathaniel,
yes,
this specifically says, these are the colors that will be approved.
right.
If somebody wants to really be hard-nosed about it, they're gonna say, well, it has to be this. Somebody comes in with a sandy red color, it could be denied.
It
because
should be denied, yes.
the bylaw says it has to be a color that is brown or medium gray, etc.
Right.
I think that's
We're allowing tile, we're rounding the rounded tiles to be red. We're not allowing the raised seam steel roofs to be red.
And
So for
please keep in
clarification,
mind,
this is
everybody,
only for
that
raised
this
steel
is nothing more than multifamily.
Yes, only, only for condos and only for raised seam steel roofs.
Correct.
Joe?
Would it help to just simply add,
On a choice.
in parentheses, unless otherwise, unless an exception is otherwise made by the DRC following that sentence?
No, the DRC, we should not allow, that, we don't want to give that leeway to the DRC, otherwise it will be forced to give it. When someone applies to put something, some change to their house, whatever it is, they have to abide by the code. Anything that, any looseness we put in the code allows someone to take advantage of it, and some clown will. So it's best that we keep it to what we will accept in firm writing.
So it would be easier, because you've got some statute already in place, is to eliminate white and silver. Because they would reflect onto the golf course. There's a statute that says you're not supposed to have anything in white, for instance, but they've abused that all along the way. But it's easier to eliminate a color that they can't use and say white and silver will not be accepted, it cannot be used.
Gary, it's already covered though. Without saying it, we're saying it.
Well, without saying it, you're saying it, but that's not the issue, because somebody's gonna come in and wanna do that. The second part, okay, I talked to Joe.
Why don't we reread that for you one more time?
No,
Because-
don't reread it. I know what it says, but I'm just telling you, the easier way out is to eliminate something off the bat, so somebody can't come in and ask for it later.
When did medium become white or silver?
I didn't say medium. I'm giving you a specific color. What is medium? What do you know? What's the?
All right, let's move on, seriously.
Well, the other part is.
Let's vote.
You're gonna get somebody, okay, we have a hurricane next season, somebody comes in across the street from the estates, it's got a 10,000 square foot plus house. And it's gonna wanna put a metal roof on it. Okay, how are you gonna deny it? I wanna know that.
Because we had this, our attorney vetted this language, and he said that the foundation could specify where only single family homes could have tile roofs and allow condos to only have metal roofs.
Attorney's gonna tell you what he wants, but I can tell you, another attorney's gonna come in from somebody in the estates, gonna chew you up. You can't discriminate within a communal situation. You're dissecting an owner that lives in a condo and separating them out to somebody that owns a single. It's known as basically discrimination, nothing else.
But then our guidelines also state that, within every neighborhood, each home must be compatible and match other homes in the community, so.
Well, you're not doing it right off the bat. What's compatible?
Are you kidding? Did you just hear what he said?
Hey, you have to take a look at, he just mentioned what's in there. You're changing what's within the community now by asking for a metal roof.
No, we're talking about multifamily homes.
Okay. You this.
All right, let's move on.
I motion that we accept the language as it's written.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have anybody opposed?
I'm still abstaining.
All right, let's move on to 9.6. I think you all have, we had a GRC meeting. I think all of you have the report in your packages.
Your report. Good.
We have a motion to move, to approve the report for DRC.
So motion.
Second,
What's it approving on the,
It's a couple pavers, it's new screens, just very, very rudimentary stuff.
gotta start posting those meetings, you realize that.
okay, the last item on the list is going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of background.
I think just officially take a vote for that. You had.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Good point.
Do we all in favor? Motion approved. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The last item on the list is something that we I'd like Paul and Nathaniel to sort of fill in the blanks. I don't know what the time frame of this has been, but it's been going on for several months. We were going through the process of getting insurance for the community center, and the inspection on this roof and the other roof, I think, failed.
The roof failed, the wind mitigation, failed the mitigation inspection, and so right before our insurance expired on December 31, our insurance company refused to rewrite us. And so we were not able to buy our normal insurance because our roof was essentially going bad, didn't substandard. So then we had to buy insurance right at that time. And the only insurance available was a much lesser quality insurance, higher deductible, less coverage at a much higher price, like $40,000 extra penalty for having a bad roof. So the board decided right away what we should do is even though the reserve account had us replacing the roof in a few years, it would make no sense to wait a few years and keep paying this $40,000 a year penalty on our insurance. So we decided it was an emergency. We need to move forward with getting a new roof. And so that's how this came about. Thank you, Joe. So we had the finance committee, Paul went out and got 6 different bids from six different contractors. We've had a chance to meet at 3 separate meetings to go over the different proposals, the style, et cetera, look at the cost. We actually received, even in the last 2 days, Paul, final and best the proposals.
Yeah, so after we received the 6 proposals, we reviewed them and determined that 3 of the contractors were within competitive pricing and were qualified. So we went back to those contractors and asked for a best and final offer to see if they come down on their pricing at all. And 2 of the contractors did bring in a new totals, which you now have on your sheets.
Paul, you want to just briefly go over those 3?
All right, so the 3 contractors that were within competitive range were Castilia Roofing, J&R Company Roofing, and CFS Roofing. They all offered the best competitive price for a tile roof and or a metal roof. So we compared both the pricing. And after today's input from the best and final offers, it's determined that CFS is now coming in with the best price for either installing a tile roof or a metal roof. The tile roof cost would be $292,214, and the metal roof would cost us $385,426. And that includes both buildings, the community center and the pro shop.
Joe, do you want to go over the
Yeah.
types of roofs that we're considering? Because we're considering both types and,
Yeah, what I thought we would do is because we've had 3 separate meetings with the board members, and Paul to go over all the information, the proposals. I would like to go around the board and get their comments and input on, the style and then, what, all the input from the meeting. So Uwe, if I'll go ahead and start with you, if you can hear us?
So Joe, I can hear you great. Is my audio good? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And Paul, my video feed is blocked. I think it shows on my end of Zoom that my video is blocked on your end, but
Not sure, we're having a little issues with Zoom today, but we can hear you.
We can
fine.
hear you.
We can hear you
okay.
fine.
So as long as you can hear me. So Joe, thanks for giving me a chance to comment on this. I know the roofs are a hot design question in the community. So I'm happy to give my perspective. So given the circumstance that that is the insurance now difficult to get or very costly to get for our leaky old roofs, I think we need to move on the roof replacement issue. Since this is a reserve account expenditure, I think for a budgeted roof replacement, I believe we also have the mandate to move forward if that's what the board chooses to do. So I think we can do that. But to me, the real issue that's sort of debate and that I keep hearing comments from the community is on, style, clay tile versus standing metal seam. So I have been looking around a lot in Naples. I looked at the new gated communities that we compete with for real estate prices. They're predominantly going flat tile or metal. Tuscan, while I like that style a lot, which is our style, it seems to be going out of style. When I drive around Pelican Bay, which is a little bit older than us development-wise, it's a similar Tuscan style, or at least was. It's giving way to predominantly metal roof reno projects, flat tile, flat plate tile, and more modern looks on the new builds and renos. I also went to Mediterra. Mediterra is a bit newer than us. It's also Tuscan style, very much Tuscan style. In 2008, they got stuck with a number of undeveloped lots, some of them right in between Tuscan style houses. So the last few years in Mediterra, they've been building on those lots. And the builder there is using metal flat tile and modern designs right beside the old Tuscan homes. And I think they're doing it. I'm speculating, but I think they're doing it because that's what the buyers want to buy. And I have to say, what they're building there looks good. It's nice. So in my view, we should go with metal from a style perspective. I think our Pelican Marsh Golf Clubhouse chose metal. Osprey is considering metal. Has a longer life, less risk of hurricane damage, and the insurance companies seem to like metal. Also, I think that metal is probably the right choice style-wise and the better financial and technical choice. So that's my humble opinion. Thanks for giving me a chance to contribute that, and I'll yield to the next person.
Okay, George?
Yeah, I think what Uwe said at the end, from a financial and technical standpoint, if I were strictly use that to make my recommendation, it would be the raised metal seam. Has better thermal properties, it's not brittle like concrete. And I personally like the look, and I've seen it everywhere, but of course, that's an opinion. But again, from a financially responsible decision, I'd have to say the raised metal seam.
Matt?
I completely agree with everybody. One of the things is that it may cost more now, but the insurance in the long run is so much more in our favor that I cannot say anything more than it's a smart thing to do.
Daniel?
Joe, would be okay if Paul put the pictures up, so that some of the owners could see kind of what we're talking about. because this is a much better looking than what, you see at shopping centers or maybe the golf course or something, that now they're more attractive looking than what you've seen in the past.
Are you saying shopping centers?
I believe shopping centers are just. Paul, as I speak for a moment, Paul's gonna.
I know that you're right.
And show you. As treasurer, I wanted to go over one angle of this, of the roof. The steel roof, okay, I attended a whole lot of meetings on this in the last couple of months. The finance committee had some meetings where we brought in a public adjuster, where all he does is helps people fight their insurance company, and he used to work for the insurance company, helping to keep the claims down. So all he does is just have claims all the time, and he fights claims. So he came in for free to tell us what he sees over and over. Also, we had a meeting with our insurance broker, and then also we spoke with a contractor. So we've learned a lot about the two types of roofs as you compare them, and there's nothing completely chipped in stone, no pun intended, but everybody that's an expert in roofs or insurance tends to agree that the steel roofs have a much longer life than a tile roof. In fact, the reason we're having this problem is because the tile roof had a very short life. And over the course of 40 years, I would anticipate and can make a strong argument that in 2024 dollars, we'll save probably, maybe $400,000. And the reason is because over the course of 40 years, we should only have one roof. Whereas if we get a tile roof again, like what we have here that just failed, and not only did it finally fail the inspection, but before it failed inspection, we had to keep fixing leaks, and some of those were very expensive leaks. I believe the last one, Paul, was $10,000 to fix. Is that right? The big leak over here?
It's about that.
Sometimes, it was expensive. So we was fixing leaks before it failed completely, and it was already failing. So anyway, one of the things the public adjuster told us is that after a hurricane, and everybody's got the damaged roofs. Now, of course, if you have a straight on tornado, it's going to take away the building as well as the roof. But he said the steel roofs would be lightly damaged compared with the tile roofs. The tile roofs, tree branches and stuff would break the tiles, puncture the actual water barrier, and water would get into the roof during the hurricane. He said you essentially never saw that with a steel roof. A tree would make a dent on the metal, and so yeah, you'd have look like a hell ding on your metal, but no water was getting in, and to replace it would be replacing one piece of steel, not replacing a whole roof. So it's very simple. There's another thing financially that intrigued me, was that the insurance broker said that the underwriters will not put it in writing. They will not tell you the formula they use, but as a general rule, they give a discount for everyone who has a steel roof compared to people who have a tile roof, for the obvious reasons, because they don't spend as much money on those people. So we had to guess from several examples that maybe our discount would be $5,000 a year. And it looks to me like, after these adjustments, in fact, we even had some of the brokers, some of the contractors come down on their prices recently in the last 24 hours. So, the cost differential, what's the cost differential, Paul, as of the last bid between steel and, tile, as of the last bids? Is it 90,000-ish?
No, it's 93,000.
Okay, so 93,000. So the steel roof will cost about 93,000 more than the tile roof, 33% or something. But by lasting a long time and getting a discount on our insurance every year, and hopefully if there is a hurricane, getting less damage during a hurricane, I find it to be the long-term prudent decision. If a nice attractive color is chosen to fit in with the neighborhood, I think it's a good choice. So I would vote for a steel roof because of those financial burdens. Okay, Brian?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with my colleagues, looking at insurance costs, maintenance costs, storm repairs. I think the 400,000 is actually light when you add all those items up, so I'm supportive of the steel.
Okay,
Great.
Jim?
I totally agree. I had presented an argument one time for the other, but the insurance savings alone convinced me. It's another dimension, I'm gonna bring it up now, which for the life of this building, as we're gonna use it today, I think the metal roof is the best way to go. Question I have is, what about the tile that is over the restaurant? Are they gonna replace that with metal? Or are we going to have a compatible looking metal tile with
have to do the whole
that everything gets replaced?
Everything's replaced.
Thank you.
Here's something I think we should think about. Let's wait on the pro shop. Let's wait on the pro shop. I want to say it again. Let's just do this building.
What are your thoughts, reasons why not?
We need more pickleball courts.
So.
I'm gonna go ahead and give my comments, and then we're gonna open it up to the community and see if we've got, any comments or questions. I don't wanna reiterate what everybody else has said, but, I'm one that does not like change. And so when I look up here, I say, well, I can't imagine what this would look like, but as we've gone through this process, and I think I sent, an article, a long article that was passed along to me, actually by Dave Adams. And I was reading it at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and passed it along to the rest of the board. And as I looked at the pictures and looked at the arguments and looked at the articles, and I was invited to the Osprey Town Hall just the other day. In fact, this is one of the slides from their presentation. The president reached out to me last night and presented, also gave me the presentation, in terms of the pros and the cons, the pros of metal roofs, the longevity, the durability, less costly maintenance, sustainability, ease of repairs and inspection, post damage, more common on high-end new construction, comes in a wider variety of color options, et cetera. The cons, there's one, it can dent from impact. And then looking at the tile roof, the aesthetics, just like me, I don't like change of the tile are sometimes preferred. Durability, it's not going to dent from impacts. But the cons, the color fading, we see that in this building and Ariel and a lot of the other buildings, the weight, the repairability, the less color variety. I came to the conclusion that, as everybody else has, that this is the way to go. So those are my comments. Any comments from the community?
Do it all though, right?
I'm sorry.
Do both buildings?
That would be my decision. Angela?
You might get a good example by looking at the St. John's Church. They went to a metal roof after the hurricane, and it does look good. My concern, and I'd like everything.
Angie, there's a lot of people online and they can't hear you. Do you mind coming to the front?
Well, no.
You're a good looking guy and they should see you.
People come up here and I can't hear.
Look at that hot shirt it's wearing.
All right, well, speak up.
You're more computer, I can hear. Angelo Sclery at Marsh Links. I belong to St. John, and after the last hurricane, we had to renovate the whole building, and we put a new metal roof on. And it's a large covered area, and it does look very nice. My concern would be, I agree, the industrial engineer and the payback. So you're talking about $5,000 a year, it's 20 years difference, but no problem, as long as this building's gonna be here 20 years from now. Otherwise, you're throwing money away, just as Matt's suggesting, don't do the pro shop in case we knock it down, right?
Yes, you want to come?
Nancy Tuck from Claremont. I just have a question about if you don't do the pro shop, what's the difference in cost? Because if you decide not to tear down the pro shop, then you're dealing with a small space that you have to do later on. And that could be either more expensive than doing it now, or maybe you can't find somebody to do it because it's a small job. So that's my question.
I don't think that's the biggest issue in the world, Nancy.
Question is what the difference is, right?
One problem with that idea is that the pro shop also failed the inspection, and so the insurance company refused this because of both roofs. They both failed the inspection the same way at the same day.
I think it makes sense to move forward with looking at both buildings together. And if we have a discussion in a month or so about pickleball solution, we feel as if we can pull that back, we can adjust at that time.
John?
Well, there's some Q&A online. Yeah. I'll get to it.
Hi, John Butcher, that's from the design review committee, but
Can't hear you, buddy. Little-
I have nothing to say about the design. But there's been no comment on whether or not there's an auditory negativity from metal. Is there or isn't there? It's there.
I can tell you that was an issue, that was raised at, I don't know if you want to address that, Orlando, that was something that came up at, Osprey.
Check this one out.
Diane Banks, who's a member of the board of Osprey, would you mind commenting on that?
Well, we have our architect and designer there and.
You want to talk to the mic?
Hi, I'm Diane Banks, and I live in Osprey Point. I'm on the board of directors there. We had our architect and designer there, and she was fielding a lot of questions from the floor. And according to the space in the attic to the bottom, of, because it was the second floor, the units were concerned. I don't know, I'm not articulating this great, but that there isn't any issue really with sound. That's kind of a myth, they say. If you Google it, it'll tell you the same thing.
I had mentioned if it's hail, you could hear it, but.
Yeah, well,
We
yeah,
don't
hail
have,
or
we don't have hail here, so.
something like that, but just everyday rain is not an issue.
I would almost thought, Joe, that for the steel installation, there's almost like a coating that goes under it. I don't want to say like a rub, but a thin layer of material. That's
It's called Artex.
Thank you, thank you.
not-
Yeah, I don't know if we hard about that, but I think that negates.
That's a great point. They talked a lot about the installation.
Claremont has a steel roof. Does anybody from Claremont hear the rain a lot worse now? I have never heard the problem.
I don't know, if it's the same group that you, I don't know, if it's apples back, I don't know.
I heard this was a problem with older steel roofs, but that technology has changed drastically in the last 10 years. That's what I read when I did my research on
The
it.
consultant I spoke to says the underlayment that they now use for metal roofs is so thick or spongy that it deadens the sound, so you can't hear
Okay, good question, good question. Any other questions?
it. I think we have some online.
You hear it at the church.
I'm Melinda Reed and from Egrets. Question, what would the process be for selecting the color? It's obviously going to be a very different look. Is there a plan to paint the building, the trim to make it, really change the, because a different roof is going to change the look. And I think you want to consider what the paint and color options may be for the building. I don't know when it's due to be painted again.
We're gonna go with pink.
I agree that we should go with a color that matches our paint.
So would that be part of the plan then, when the roof is done, that in relatively near future, that would all be, part of the project?
What if we chose a roof color that matched this paint well? Would it then not need to be painted again?
I don't know, I just looked, I have to go and look again, and it's sort of a reddish, brownish, and then you're talking about potentially gray or
Yeah,
brown.
but our building is a brown tone building, so.
If you saw the work and the diligence that Osprey did, we'll probably do the same thing with what we want to get out to the community. Because it's gonna be a combination of building, roof. So, I think we're gonna do our best to present our best foot forward. We're not gonna mess anything up.
What's
and
the
we're gonna get-
process for deciding on what color? Is that something the board does, that they'll make the decision on the particular color for the roof, or is it a
Yes.
survey, or?
If I hear your question correctly, would you be comfortable if it was the same color as the roof is today? That the new steel shingles would match this?
I'd like to see something different, a little more modern,
Yeah.
something a little bit different.
What I see in these pictures is kind of what I was envisioning.
Yeah.
Dark brown.
I would recommend the board, get a recommendation from the design review committee and those people to recommend to the board what color to choose. Because these guys are experts in
designing.
And maybe even a couple different options, like when we redid inside here, there were a couple of options and people could take a look at the boards and, you know, give their opinion about, you know, which they prefer.
Well, I value that comment, but daylight's burning here because we have a timeline. We are crunched. If we have to make a decision and get this done before major hurricane season, and I heard by the end of June, mid-July, we will be in the shoulder of major hurricane season. And if we don't get this done, then we lose all the insurance for the whole building. You lose this roof, you lose everything, because we be totally.
I don't see this as being a long drawn out process.
I agree.
But whatever color, I would recommend a darker shade because it hides mildew buildup and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of root stone, so.
Paul, could we get could we get the design committee to sit with the contractor, see what colors are available, and then pick two that we do a rendering on or something like that?
I've already got a slide of all the potential colors we can choose from, so.
No, I understand that. I'm trying to narrow that down to a couple of choices that the design committee recommends, that we can then narrow it down to one or two colors and then get the contractor to go ahead once we have those decisions.
We'll get on that right away, get that done.
Can we punch this before November?
I mean, the goal is to have the roof on no later than in July. That is the goal, so.
Wait, we're gonna tear the entire roof off, eventually put a metal roof on, and we're gonna do that before July.
When I spoke to the contractors and asked them if we decided by early April on the roof, what would be the timeline? And they said, barring anything they know about now, it looks like definitely a June, July timeframe would be.
We're gonna need 2 sleds just to get rid of the tile roof. At least 2 sleds. I don't see that happening. I mean,
That's what the contractor told me, that we do this every day, so.
I mean, it seems as if,
so did I.
it seems as if that we do need to at least make consideration of what a future paint palette will be.
Right.
If we can get 2 or 3 choices, I think the decision on the table right now is, do we want to move forward?
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we want to move forward. You know what, let's put that out there. We want metal roof, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you have something?
Yes, Joe, thank you. Orlando Ferrer, I live in Osprey Point. I just heard that the metal roof quote is higher than tile. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I just texted our treasurer at Osprey Point, because at our meeting recently, we were informed that metal was cheaper than tile. So I just texted JP Miller, and this is what he wrote to me. Orlando, most roofers in the area give higher bids for metal than tile. But JR Roofing specializes in metal, and their metal is less expensive than tile. So I'm gonna share with you, did this company bid JR?
Yes, they did, they quoted higher for metal than tile.
Interesting, so and then at Osprey, it's all the way around.
I don't know.
So, just share that information, I was.
You may have to talk the apples to apples with it, the gauge of steel and so
That's
forth.
right. Thank you.
Orlando,
Gauge
literally their bid was $97,000 more for metal. Yeah.
I think the other contractors as well was consistent.
Oh, yeah, yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah, Dave, sir.
Hey, bedroom sure lights, just one quick thought. If you're gonna do this in July, maybe you don't wanna resurface the driveway, do all that work, and then bring in June, and then bring all the trucks and stuff in. Well.
Good point. Good point.
Okay,
Joe, I raised that question to Paul. I think, Paul, you had a pretty good answer about it.
Well, I said that possibly, we can't, the repaving this summer, we can't pass it up. We're gonna take $40,000 by using this company. because they're here already doing the CDD work on the road, so we don't want to pass that up. We could possibly, on the root contract, maybe delay it a month or so, give it more time to cure and dry. But, I don't think, much damage will be caused on the, if anything superficial, or we could definitely do an overlay spray.
But it's worth asking the question with the asphalt company in terms of their schedule, and if we can schedule it afterwards, if they're gonna be here for a prolonged period of time.
Well, they're doing the CDD work in May, so,
May? Okay.
yeah, so we're there right behind them, so.
Okay,
So that being said, maybe we look at like July 5 for the start of the roof project. Get this done out there in the parking lot, and then July 5, do the roof.
Paul, was there any of the questions related to the roof, on your, online?
I have one related to the roof. The question was asked, has the board considered a barrel style stone coated metal roof that Claremont has? You get the benefit of the metal and the Tuscan look. The answer is yes, we did consider a stone coated metal roof, but speaking with, experts in the field, and the adjusters, that the stone coating, over time comes off. And you'll have nothing but spots on the roof. So we thought long-term wasn't a good choice.
We were also told that the insurance company doesn't give the same discount for the metal roof that is tile wavy instead of the one that is raised seam. So, and we had samples in our office, and the coating was coming off on our table while we were looking at it, so it did worry us. I think everybody's had an opportunity to comment, think about this. We spent a lot of time on it, community comment. Do we have a motion to move forward? I motion that we move forward with, a steel roof for the, community center and the pro shop building.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Paul, do we need to also have a motion for the contractor we choose?
Yes, we need to, approve the contractor.
I motion that we, approve the contractor, CFS roofing for this job.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I asked that, on this approval, can we, addition, add another $15,000 in the contingency? Just in case, the, underlayment of, deck board needs to be replaced, there's monies in there to replace that. And also possibly having to replace the guttering around the building.
I motion that we budget in another 15,000 for these potential variables.
Second.
Did you say 15 or 50?
15,
50.
so 115.
Oh,
I've already got a proposal from CFS. If the guttering has to be replaced, that costs $8,000.
Okay.
We've got that covered. And then another, 7,000 for deck boarding.
15,000, he'd say.
so moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
What are you doing with the flat roofing portion?
It's covered in the, it's covered in the bid.
The price, yeah.
They're gonna redo it. It's gonna stay flat, but it's gonna be re-roofed also. All right, moving on to number 10, any board member comments, any additional comments?
I just want to say congrats to everybody that's joined the board. This is the greatest paying job you'll ever have in your life.
Thanks for that, Matt. Any final?
Joe,
resident
just one quick reminder for everyone, CDD, there is now an opening on CDD. We've heard from the last year from your predecessor, the best way to influence CDD is to get on the CDD. So if any residents are interested in that, you'll see applications coming out. I think they'll do May 10th, they said yesterday.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And there'll be a flyer that's to be sent out to everybody.
And Paul, you'll send that communication out to the community as well.
I will.
Okay.
Joe, I have one point. We're taking board comments?
Yes.
Okay. Probably about the middle of May, we will have a forum here for candidates for school boards. There's 2 districts. School boards are, people run for the school board, it's nonpartisan. So we will have a forum here probably mid-May and invite all of you to attend. School board is a very important position these days. You pay more money to the school board than you do to the county. So I encourage you to attend. There will be several candidates for 2 seats, and that'll be before our next board meeting. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Okay, any
Thank you.
final resident comments?
Yeah, Joe,
Sure.
I don't know the later meeting, but I don't think you asked for comments when Dave and Bob gave the presentation. So it's not clear to me, are the renovations for all the gatehouses, number one? And question always gets asked to me, and I don't know the answer, why, Bob, are we doing this to begin with and not keeping the structures the way they were and renovating, let's say, the interior of the building?
That's a question for the CDD. I don't know, Bob.
I know, I know it, but they're here.
Yeah.
And they put this up.
It's not-
The other thing is, I realize this is a board meeting, but it's awfully hard as the discussion's taking place to look at that board all the way back there.
You want to go up and take a look?
Yeah, I know, that's what you said, I know.
You missed a lot of CPD meetings, and
Yeah, I know, I wanted to go to them.
Bob, did you want to comment?
There is a lot of damage on the 141, an awful lot of damage, and there's I know the attorney brought it up yesterday in terms of the amount of work that has to be done on it, then we'd have to change the elevation 2 feet, which means we'd have to take the whole thing down in the first place. So that's where it stands right now.
And I want to give a shout out to Bob because he's got a job in front of him. He really does. And he's a great guy and he's going to be an advocate for our community. So please.
Here.
And, let's go ahead and,
Oh, one more question.
yes.
We not. Oh, what about solar panels with will a metal roof rust?
No. A metal roof won't rust.
So it's galvanized steel, one, so, and also the coating, this painting on the metal, the coating to help prevent rust too, so.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Well, we can get you,